Hello, welcome. This is The Marketplace. Coming up, under fire, civil society organizations call for the head of board chairman of the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation over oil fields offer made to PetroSA. Mr. Blay has dismissed those calls. Is there basis for his dismissal? We will discuss.
We demand the immediate removal of GNPC CEO Opoku Ahwenneɛ Dankwa and the board chairman Freddie W. Blay from their respective positions, as they have become a threat to Ghana's interest in the petroleum sector.
Also, a list of complaints from customers in the financial sector in 2022 will share a new report from the Bank of Ghana. Plus, there's a push for roaming tariffs to be standardized as part of telecom reforms in West Africa. We'll be hearing from an Ecowas MP, Emmanuel Bedra. Do stay with us for details. And first, our board chairman of the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation is under fire from some 29 civil society organizations who are demanding his immediate removal. It follows allegations that Mr. Blay, Freddie Blay, was offering interest in Ghana's oil fields to a South African oil company, Petroleum Oil and Gas Corporation of South Africa, PetroSA. The GNPC Board Chairman is said to have written to PetroSA offering it an equal split in the interest held by GNPC subsidiary Jubilee Oil Holdings Limited. Energy Minister Matthew Opoku-Prempeh has said the move is not in the interest of Ghana, as the nation will lose revenue. He has asked Mr. Blay to withdraw the offer immediately. We have analysis in a bit. First, though, this report.
The GNPC Board Chairman Freddie Blay is said to have written to PetroSA offering it an equal split in the interest held by GNPC subsidiary Jubilee Oil Holdings Limited. Energy Minister Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh insists this move is not in the interest of Ghana, as the nation will lose revenue. He is therefore asking Mr. Blay to withdraw the offer immediately. He points out that the stakes were acquired by the government of Ghana with state funds, and that the South African government had already been informed that Ghana would not approve any preemption of the stakes. 29 civil society organizations, including ASEP, Imani, and IDEC, are unhappy about the development. They want the GNPC board chairman and CEO sacked.
We demand the immediate removal of GNPC CEO Opoku Ahwenneɛ Dankwa and the board chairman Freddie W. Blay from their respective positions, as they have become a threat to Ghana's interest in the petroleum sector. 6. Additionally, we demand the immediate transfer of JOHL and all its assets from Cayman Island and other jurisdictions to GNPC. 7. We demand immediate disclosure of the Ake plan of development from the Petroleum Commission and the government. To conclude, we firmly believe that a country micromanaged by the IMF cannot be seen to engage in fiscal recklessness that undermines its recovery.
They also alleged Eka Energy is attempting to sell a floating production system it acquired for $35 million to government for $1.7 billion.
Even though Ake has sold their interest in Ghana, they are scheming to stay on the Pecan development through surrogates and Ghanaian collaborators across segments of our society to amass ridiculous benefits from the Pecan field development. Ake Energy purchased an FPSO for $35 million. In their plan of development submitted to the government, Ake's previous owners intended to build Ghana $1.7 billion for the FPSO. We admit that the Energy Ministry has raised a preliminary objection to the cost of the FPSO, but there is no proposal on how much the ministry considers fair value for the FPSO.
Well, joining us, energy strategist Dr. Yusuf Suleimana to discuss this unfolding story. Good afternoon to you. Do the CSOs have basis to call for the removal of the GNPC board chairman?
Yeah, good afternoon to you, Daryl, and good afternoon to your channel viewers in Ghana and across the globe. Yeah, indeed, if you notice what our upstream has been through at this moment in time, you can always say that the CSOs, I think they have a basis on their call. Why am I saying that? No, if you look at the upstream, our upstream, especially championed by our NOC, that is GNPC, they have been in several controversies over the years. And so it's not surprising that at this moment in time, what the GNPC was set to do or set up to do as its core business, to explore and produce oil, we haven't been able to do that because the distractions are simply too much, from the political actors of the day. If individuals become so powerful beyond the structures of, organizations, this is what happened. And so, Daryl, where are we now? GNPC have been in existence, and then the plan was for it to become a standalone operator at this moment in time. Being a standalone operator means that strategically you have to be able to amass your interests in terms of your shares within the fields. So if at this moment in time we are rather dissipating our shares, it means that all this strategically coming from the upstream point of view, we are drifting away from gravitating to become a standalone operator. And rather, if you are in this business of upstream, if you don't become a standalone operator, or if you don't have the majority shares, you are going to be they're going to dictate for you. The best benefit or the maximum benefit or the optimal benefit you can recoup from the industry is when you have maximum share. So I don't think there's any basis whatsoever at this moment in time, to think about diversifying or selling some of our shares. And if you look at the oil market at this moment in time, it's booming. Oil price above 70s. So this is even the time to look at, if you have the shares, try to take advantage, maximize it, and see how you can commercialize it, but not to dissipate it. So with this, the aggregate of all these factors, I think, gives a lot of credence to what, the CSOs are calling. And I think I congratulate them, whoever being the whistleblower, to have brought this up out to the public space for us to interrogate it. I think the person has done creditably well. And so, yes, as to whether, he needs to step down or not, it's the president's decision. But I think the move is seriously in the wrong direction, looking at the fact that we need to be able to maximize. I've always called for GNPC to increase their shares in whatever field that we are. That look at the quantum of benefits that we are getting from our oil revenue. And yet our shares, if you know our shares that we have in the oil, our oil field, it's meager. It's nothing to write home about. We don't have any single field among the three fields that Ghana has a share of more than 25%. We don't have. And so this is a time that we should have been increasing our share, but not to dissipate it. So I think the CSOs call, there's substance to that. And the government and the president of the day has to look into it. But the good thing is, I think it was almost like a unilateral decision, if I see it that way, because for the fact that the energy minister is distancing himself, from such a decision, is something that we want to watch out to see how the president reacts or acts with respect to this development. But I think it's not a positive development.
Yeah, and I agree. It's pretty remarkable that the energy minister is distancing himself from this. But Mr. Blay has dismissed calls for him to resign. And based on explanation, what we're hearing is that this is at the discussion stage. No deal has been reached. The GNPC has a right to negotiate. And then the energy ministry can approve whatever offer it is based on discussions had. Doesn't the GNPC have the right to do so?
Yeah, so we can use a portion of company structures to champion our supposed latent individual interests. Daryl, we have to be very clear here from what I mentioned. See, I listened to the release by Freddie Blay, and what I understand is I thought they were going to offer something strategic. Why they are taking that decision? It is nothing strategic. It's a side decision like that. It should be strategic. What would be Ghana benefit with respect to this? None. We haven't seen anything. So see, if before this deal comes to the table, you have to be able to sell out your strategic reason why you are going to take such a decision. You don't wait for the decision to come and people will ask, and then we don't have any concrete reason. So whatever reason it is, I think if they can come out and tell us, but where I see as an upstream player, Daryl, at this moment in time, I will find it difficult to see who can justify, to dissipate or to dilute your shares within the upstream. At the moment in time that the upstream is booming, I don't think it is the best, Daryl. So yes, we will need strategic reasons reasons that are cogent, that can counterbalance, the fact that, we're going to benefit from it. But from where I said, I struggle to see what proportionate reason can counterbalance the potential negative impact, that Ghana is going to have if you go for this deal. Daryl.
Yeah, the energy minister is quoted as saying that this offer, if it put through, would have cost the nation a loss in revenue. And I'm sure this also borders on issues of transparency, doesn't it? How can we make such transactions more transparent?
Yeah, so that's a very good thing. And that is what has been the bane of the issues within our upstream or our energy industry in general. This is a huge industry with capital outlay so huge. And so transparency is key. Whatever decision that you're going to do, you have to be able to explain with cogent terms why you are taking that decision. So in this case, I think transparency has eluded us. There's no undoubtedly, because such a decision, it looks like the minister of the day, the minister in charge of the sector, is not even preview, to the whole idea about the deal. So that calls for that transparency element of it. We are not saying a potential could not be a good one. It could be, but I struggle to see how good it's going to be from where I sit. However, even when you have intention of doing that, for transparency's sake and for the sake of this, for the huge stake within the industry, you need to come out clearly and then explain your reasons why you do, your reasons why you're going to champion that, or your reasons why you're going to, embark on such a wild journey. But nothing of that, has been put forward. And so, yes, you're right. Transparency is key. And if there's no transparency, I think it will breed a lot of, uncertainties, and like what is happening now. These are uncertainties, and I think that is not just good at all for our upstream portfolio.
Okay, a quick one while we have you. We just have about a minute on this. Nigeria on Monday commissioned the Dangote Refinery amid hopes of transforming the country into a net exporter of petroleum products. Your thoughts about this happening in Nigeria?
That is huge, and I think I congratulate the Nigerian government, first of all, because such huge investment coming, political support is very key. And especially Nigeria, if you look at where Nigeria came from, Ghana is just learning from Nigeria. Nigeria had previously shut down all their refineries, and they were importing finished product. And I think it hasn't guaranteed them any strategic advantage. If Nigeria should go in this journey, where probably they're going to invest about 19 billion, a business person investing 19 billion to bring out a refinery, I think that is very huge. And I think the rest of African continent should take a cue from that to understand that to have control over your energy needs is key to your strategic advantage, or is key to your energy security. And I think Nigeria has just done that. And I think it is high time Ghana and other West African countries take a cue and to revive also their refineries and even think about building more refineries. Because like it or not, Africa consumes a lot of finished products. And if you have strategic advantage to be able to take advantage, to be able to have outlet where you can sell this finished product, but instead of importing it, I think it's going to be excellent. And finally, that I want to say that it's going to be a significant boost to the AFTAC movement. To the AFTAC, conduit. So in a sense that if this refinery should come to play in African countries, even those without refineries are able to take advantage of taking the product from Nigeria, holistically is going to triumph African countries.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Yusuf Suleiman. I appreciate your insights into developments in the oil and gas industry. While commercial banks received the highest number of complaints from customers in the financial sector in 2022, this was captured in the latest complaints management report released by the Bank of Ghana. Here's more.
Out of the 983 complaints that the Market Conduct Office of the Bank of Ghana received last year, majority of them came from banking customers. But the Bank of Ghana was, however, quick to add that almost 90% of these complaints were resolved. Most of them came from customers who had issues about how their loans were handled by their banks, deductions of these loans, as well as issues about fraud relating to their deposits and other financial transactions. 2 out of the 23 banks in the country didn't have any complaints lodged against them. The 983 complaints represented a 15% jump over what was recorded in 2021. But the central bank believes the increase in the number of complaints can be linked to the general public awareness about these developments and the ability of the regulator to deal with these issues that have been reported on time.
On Zoom with us, banking consultant Christian Tishijan. Good afternoon to you. So why are we seeing increasing cases of complaints from bank customers? Does this suggest banks have not put in place adequate response measures?
Good afternoon, Daryl. I think now the banks have rather provided more adequate channels for some of these complaints and their resolutions. I'm actually aware of a lot of the banks having established their service excellence departments with a core mandate to offer excellent service across their branches and then departments. And then the customer complaints and their timely resolution are also part of their duties. But what I would say is that with the advent of technology and then access to information, people are getting more information on service delivery and of their rights. So what were considered normal, like long queues in the banking halls and then system downtimes at first, is now viewed as an abomination, where the customer feels the bank has got the responsibility, or it is the responsibility of the bank to give them 100% uptime or uninterrupted service. And so, so far as we are concerned, this is not something new. People are rather getting to know their rights, what they have to do, and the fact that Bank of Ghana has provided a channel through which, once there is any issue like this, yes, Bank of Ghana can come in and then they're able to get resolution. So I would say things are being reported more now instead of what was happening actually at first.
I'm just wondering though, how seriously do banks take this kind of feedback?
Yes, absolutely seriously, because you see, the business of banking is all about the customer base. So it's the customers who are giving you the business. So in terms of service delivery, you are unable to give the customer. Now, a lot of Ghanaians are actually multi-bank. So if you are bank A and you fail to live up to expectation in terms of banking business to your customer, what you realize is that they will just switch. And if you are a bank and you have a lot of your customers switching, it means you are having decline in your business, and decline in business consequently actually leads to low profitability, and no bank really wants to have that in their book. So definitely it's of serious concern to them.
Yeah, because my next question was going to be how this could impact on the banking sector, this increasing customer dissatisfaction with services.
Yes, absolutely. So in the long run, if you continue to lose customers to your competitors, your wallet will obviously shrink. And once your wallet is shrinked, it means you are losing out on business. And at the end of the day, you wouldn't make enough money that can pay your staff, that can let you also pay returns on investments to your shareholders. So it has a very huge impact. Banks really don't want to be in that position. So as much as possible, they try to provide solutions to some of these challenges that raises here.
And from the perspective of the regulator, do you think they have put in enough measures to check or ensure that banks respond to some of these complaints, that they are doing the right things?
Yes, absolutely. Because they're providing the channel where, if you are not getting resolution from your bank, you can even reach out to them. It's a step in the right direction. But I think they can also enhance it. For example, to get the banks to actually include that in their prudential returns that they do send to them. So the banks will, for example, hold a tracker where a template is given, and then all of these complaints are actually put on that tracker. So so far as they do that report to Bank of Ghana gets to know how long each complaint has actually been on that tracker, and it will help them to expedite on action if they have to provide the solution to them, because they don't want to get to the situation where they'll be getting regulatory sanctions here and there. So I think once Bank of Ghana actually enhances it that way, it's going to be very useful for the industry, and it's going to also minimize some of these complaints that we have, because they will be very proactive to address those issues.
30 seconds, quick advice for our viewers who, because I'm reading that most of the bank customers channel their complaints through emails. What's the most effective way of getting your issues addressed?
Yes, we have issues with the telcos sometimes. The lines sometimes might be just about one or two. So you keep calling and you be on the line for a very long time, not getting any resolution. But because of tech savviness, now people have got their emails, they've got their phones. So at a click of a button, instead of dialing, they can just scribble something and then push it through their emails to these banks. And then it's more effective because there are a whole number of people who are tracking those emails that's coming. And now they're also making use of the social media platforms. I mean, there's a whole channel that is open. So far as you lodge it there, because of the impact that they know if they fail to address those issues, it can have on their reputation. As soon as possible, they address it, and then the customer actually becomes happy.
All right, Christian Titijan, a banking consultant, I appreciate your time. A member of the Ecowas Parliament, Emmanuel Bejua, is calling for a common telecom tariff regime for the West Africa sub-region. Ecowas citizens have often complained about high roaming charges. Now, speaking to JoyNews' Blaise Suga at the 2023 ordinary meeting of the 5th Parliament of Ecowas in Abuja, Nigeria, Mr. Bejua also called for an enhanced framework to boost integration in West Africa.
My recent tour, when I was holding my town hall meeting and I spoke about ECOWAS, one of the things that kept coming to questions that kept coming to me has to do with the free movement of people and goods. You know, my community and my constituency borders with Togo, share border with Togo, and so people are being harassed every now and then. And so the questions kept coming to me: what are you doing at the ECOWAS Parliament about the movement of people, goods, and services? And I have to tell them that yes, ECOWAS Parliament has been in existence for the past 20 years, but we have not yet fully reached the state where we become a full parliament. We don't have the powers of a full parliament because we are not elected into ECOWAS. We are delegates. And so we are moving from a situation where we'll move from being a delegate to become a full elected members of ECOWAS, just as we have in European Parliament or East African Parliament. If you are elected, then you have the full powers of a parliament where you can make a legislation, and that legislation will be binding on the community or the national parliament.
It's affecting business.
Yeah. Indeed, it is affecting business. It has affected a lot of business, and it's still affecting business. I can give a typical example. When Nigeria closed its borders some time ago, goods, that's supposed to be transported from Nigeria through Benin to go to now, did not come because the borders were closed. And so if we belong to the same community and we have the same convention, the same ideology, the same understanding, I don't see why our goods and services will not be closed.
You're watching The Marketplace. Moving on to Let's Talk Tech. We're going to be discussing the increasing calls for artificial intelligence to be regulated. Joining me is Joy Business Tech Analyst Isaac Atase. Good afternoon to you, Isaac. So where are you on this when it comes to regulating AI?
Great. So good afternoon, Daryl. Good to be on Marketplace this afternoon. So this call came from the CEO of popular chat box, ChatGPT. And he testified before the U.S. Judiciary Committee sometime last week, and he made the call for AI to be regulated. Now, among some of his reasons cited is the safety and the growth of AI. So he says that now, because of the rate of growth, it appears it's getting to that uncontrollable level, and that it will be important for regulation to come in at this time to be able to control the growth and the things that AI can be able to do. Now, it will interest you to know that the meeting or the hearing was opened by a voice of one of the senators, Richard Blumenthal, which was actually cloned by an AI. So the AI sort of emulated his voice, or sort of copied or cloned his voice, and then gave a speech, which was actually his voice, or sounded just like him. However, he isn't the one that made that speech. It wasn't his voice, neither was it his script. So first of all, ChatGPT scripted it, and then another tool was used in voicing it. Now, this, became like a talking point of the hearing, because then he never said that. However, his voice was played, and they had a video to back it. And so issues of safety and, some regulation came up, and this was what ensued last Tuesday during the hearing.
And what I was going to ask you next what the dangers would be if AI is not regulated. But just as you point out, that hearing opened with an AI, should I say, pretending to be one of those senators before the floor of the U.S. Senate. Well, I also want to find out what the potential impact is going to be if AI is not regulated. And what would that entail when it comes to regulation? What would it entail in terms of what you can do and what you cannot do?
Well, like I mentioned earlier on, that's one of the dangers of AI, being able to, clone voices and do things without necessarily the authorization of the original or the author, if I have to put it that way. Now, this is one of the dangers, and we all know what this can do in this current day and age. So, for instance, if we take the Russia-Ukraine war, for instance, the voice of Putin or the voice of the Ukrainian president can easily be cloned with a certain statement, and this could erupt into something else. So this is one of the dangers AI poses. Again, job losses. Now, it's been the talk of town, and we all know what AI can do. You and I have tried this in the office, trying to use, one of the chat boxes in creating some text and some script. And very soon, it's being said that AI will replace certain jobs, especially jobs that involves analytics, that involves repetitive routines. So if you have a job or you're a job where every day, every time you do a certain particular routine, it's possible that these AI tools can replicate this routine. And so over time, it gets to learn and will be able to. So these are some of the dangers that
Thank
AI
you so
poses,
much, Isaac Atase, our tech analyst there. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. Thanks for watching The Marketplace.